All right, I'm going to do a project from If You're Bored with Watercolor, Read This Book. Well, this is a live stream, so some of the other people will come in. I am using a combination of a project that's described on page 120. About 120 is where it sort of shows it. And then I'm also combining it with a project on 124. So I'm not doing just a straight up project. And I've prepped everything, so I'll show you what I've got. Hi, Gail. Hi, Lori. Hi, Vicki. So I already drew just a basic skyline. I looked at a London skyline, and the one I saw had like 2 layers, like a grayed out layer and a darker layer. So that's kind of what I'm working on. And so I have this sort of just generic that will flood with watercolors and then do like reflections. I have a skinny piece of washi tape to keep a little white line here. And then I drew some of the things that are going to go in front, and they're more specific to London, but again, still in the sort of generic. There's the wheel, I think that's from Talbot Square, a building, a bridge, the clock, and I think the London Tower and kind of west, it's sort of, and then a double-decker bus. And we'll watercolor those and then cut and add them in front of this. So I'm kind of doing my own thing. I did have a couple other things to show you. Is Lena here? Hi, Judy. Hi, CB. Hi, Jean. All right, Lena, I have my ballerina sketch ready. She's a little long-waisted, and this will get covered up by her dress, but I thought I'd paint in some of this and then put the tulle over it. And I'm thinking about when I do the tulle, I might use some of this vellum, potentially. I'm not sure. But I have her ready. Like I said, she's a little bit, I know she's proportionally, she's a little bit long right in here, but so she's fine. I mean, she'll do. And then I sketched a barn with the trees ready for frisket and snow to do. And again, this is from a photograph, not from the book, but I'm going to use some of the techniques from here. And I got some of the alcohol ink stuff. I got the cling wrap. And I have this white ceramic that I'm going to clean up to use with the alcohol inks and the clean wrap. I use it just to hold pencils and stuff. So I'll take it and get the sticker off and wash it up tomorrow in the morning. And then I ordered one of the Timmy boxes. I should have ordered 2. And I put all the alcohol inks that I had, plus I put those paints, the Lumiere paints in here because they fit. And they didn't have a home. But I have one more alcohol ink coming. So I should have ordered 2 of these. I messed up. I thought it said, I wasn't counting right. I had more than I thought. Because it holds 30. And I'm 1 short. So I may end up taking the paints out so that I can put more alcohol inks in it. And I can order another one of these if I need to. Yeah, I have to have the cozy little cute home. Well, they fall over. I had these sitting to the side, and I'm always knocking them over. So that's why I'll probably end up ordering another one of these. and just this will be straight up alcohol inks, and then I'll put the paints, and if I get more alcohol inks, I'll put the metallics with the paints or something. But yeah, that's the perfect 10. Like I said, I should have ordered 2 when I was ordering it. So that's all ready. And her colors were kind of in the book. I say her. Yeah, it's a her. And the book, again, if you're just joining, is if you're bored with watercolor, read this book. And I'm doing a facsimile of this project. She's done a New York skyline. I'm doing a London skyline. I'm also doing some collage with it. So I'm kind of combining 2 project ideas. And I'm going to do teal colors. And I think I'm going to give like a golden yellow skyline and water. Just to have that contrast of that golden orange colors against those blues and grays so that it'll pop. So I'm going to start with that skyline, and then I'll put in some of the water, but I want to leave room for the blue reflection. So I don't want to do too much of the water yet. Actually, I take that back. Let's do this first. We should probably put some watercolor on these and let them dry. Get a tray. Like I said, the buildings are not exact by any means. All right, so I'm going to put some water out on the tray. I got the cobalt teal. I'm also going to use some of the Payne's gray. And I'm just going to literally put some paint on these in different areas. And then I'm going to grab some of that marine blue, which is darker. And then let's clean the brush a little bit. And I'm going to add some Payne's gray to that leftover turquoise and get it kind of a gray color going. This is going to be red. That's going to be a pop of red. All right, and then I'm going to add some black to get a little darker. In some areas. And these are going to be cut out, so I'm just going to add some water and let that kind of bleed. I should have done the gold in the back of the bridge, but we'll just use an X-Acto knife. clean the brush. And I'm going to grab a little Camden red. And I'm going to grab a little more of that black gray. Let that do its thing. All right. So let's put those to the side and they'll dry. Drawing paper. I wasn't really worried about the color. Okay, so I have a new color that I got. It's a Daniel Smith. It's called Aussie Red Gold. And that's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to also use a little of the Nickel Quinn Gold, probably. And some of that rust. Right now, I just want to get kind of around the buildings and let it run down. I think you can sort of see. I know I'm not perfectly in frame. All right, and this is see-through, so I'm going to go right behind that. And if Dottie and Joan watch this, it is not an accurate London anything. It's just supposed to be a suggestion. All right, now I'm going to pick up some of the nickel and add that in and let it continue to sort of run. Down. And then the last thing I'm going to pick up is that Quinn Rust. Right, and I'm holding that at an angle because I don't want it to run into the buildings. I'm going to get just those few places on the bottom. Blend it a little. Or I might have missed. And I kind of like how the rust is making a cloud-like. All right, so let's clean the brush. And I'm going to dry that. I'm keeping it at an angle for just a minute. And I'm going to go to the water. All right, so I'm going to go back to the Aussie red gold. And I'm going to just let a drip run in a few places where the buildings are separated. There's going to be a second layer. This one I'm going to actually let do more. All right, then I'm going to go to the nickel. Drop some of that in here and there. Let it granulate. And then I'm going to come to that rust. I need more water in my brush. Like I said, we don't have that second layer of buildings, so there'll be that'll just be a start. All right, let's dry that. Hi, Stacy. These are a mixture of Holbein and M. Graham and a few Daniel Smith. I have 12 M. Graham. There's 33 colors, 12 of them, so about 1/3 are M. Graham. 3 of them are Daniel Smith, and the rest are Holbeins. There are no Shinhas. Yeah, I did not. Yeah, the yellow iron oxide. I did not order that. I looked at I think it was the red iron oxide I looked at, but I figured it was too close to the rust that I already have. All right, let's dry this real quick. Yeah, yeah. I have it in paint, acrylic. I have the yellow and the red iron oxide in paint, and the nickel, Quinn gold, and the Quinn rust. I have all of those colors in the Deco Arts fluid acrylics. Okay. Like I said, we can adjust that as we go. So now we're going to go back to the turquoise colors. And I'm not worried about like being super neat at this point. So I'm going to add some cobalt turquoise in some areas. I'm going to add it on this one side to start with. Again, we don't have the second layer of building, so I don't really know how the reflection is going to look totally. But we know we won't. All right, now I'm going to take and add the marine blue, what I already have. All right, now I'm going to take Payne's Gray and add that to what I have. It's got a little bit more, a lighter gray than what I got. I'm just going to let that kind of bleed and mix in areas. The other blues. I just grabbed a little bit of the darker again to add back some darker turquoise in some areas. And I'm going to get some green too. All right, I'm going to grab some black and put in with that mixture. Add a little bit of the marine back in there. Trying to kind of match what I did on the pieces that we're going to cut. And if it gets too dark or gray, then I'm just adding some more of the marine blue. And I'm going to go back to the cobalt in some areas. Okay, kind of blot that. Okay, let's clean the brush. I'll give it a little bit of a spray and kind of let that do its thing. But keep it. All right, now I'm going to dry it. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. Thanks, Jean and Janet. All right, I'm going to take my washi. Actually, I'm going to leave that on still. Let me set that aside to dry. Let's get some of our buildings that aren't dry yet. And I'm going to get some scissors out. I'm just going to roughly cut around my shapes right now because they're still wet. And it tears real easy when it's wet. But there's no point in drying all this paper. And then once we get those cut and dried, let me set that up. We will glue them on and then we'll add some more reflection. So I'm going to turn them over and kind of dry them from the back first. Okay. Now, Janet, you cannot laugh when I get out the X-Acto knife. Because I do not, I think it's because I'm left-handed, but I cut with my right, or that's my theory. I'm going to stick with it. Is I do not use the X-Acto very well, but I can use scissors just fine. And I just sketch these lightly with a pencil. I didn't, I tried to get my lines straight, but, you know, like, I didn't use a ruler. I'll be honest. I didn't use a ruler. And I'm not going to cut with the X-Acto knife till I know exactly where I'm putting it and what I have to cut. Because some of it would have blue behind it and some of it should have sky behind it. It's going to depend where it ends up in the landscape. And I sort of have a plan if I remember what I looked at. Okay, so there's one. And I think the window will get cut out, but I'm not positive. If it doesn't get cut out, it's going to get blackened. Same with this wheel. Some of the wheel I'll probably cut out between the spokes with the X-Acto knife, but not all. Just whatever is going to be visible over the tops of these buildings. And I just looked at, I just Googled London skyline and looked at some images that were like vector images and stuff in black and white, and kind of went with that. But again, I didn't, like, I realized when I did the bridge afterwards that I shouldn't have done that arc, but I don't really care. In fact, I could be more accurate after the fact, but I'm not sure I want to even mess with it. And like, I'm not cutting out the bus windows on the double-decker bus. I thought about it, but I'm not going to, because I think I'll just darken them. Sometimes it's hard to find an image that is clear enough for you to see the architecture. So I just looked for basic shapes when I was doing it in the silhouettes. So like I said, I could cut this big out and then put just a black line across here. Because it would be easier to cut too. Let me grab a marker and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so this is the road. I'm not sure I need to cut any of that out. The bridge is going to go here and off. These are actually going. They're supposed to be lower. The second washi was actually lower. So I can actually take this washi off. And I'm going to put a light turquoise wash across most of it. And then we'll get the light yellow in a couple places. Okay, so let's get rid of the paper and we'll start figuring out where we want to put these. And we'll decide what we want to cut out or not cut out. And then we'll worry about reflections after they're glued. Okay. So the bridge goes over here. I think the washi line will get covered up. Mostly. If I put my road line on the washi line, that's what I'll use. No. I take that back. I like the fact that they're lighter. I'm not going to worry about the line. Let's get some gel medium on the back. And I like that these are lighter in color. And I am going to add, oh shoot, I am going to add some I just added some of that golden color. And we'll just darken that where the line would be. Okay, so I know that's the first thing that goes in. Then this, I've got more than I need. I think I'll put this over here. This is supposed to go in here. And I guess I'll put this right here. So I will cut out the little window. Well, I do cut left-handed with the X-Acto. I lied. I cut right-handed with my scissors. I must cut left-handed with the X-Acto. Like I said, I don't use it that often. All right, let's glue that in. And I'm kind of matching up the bottom of the bridge. All right, and I'm gonna put more glue down. All right, and I'm gonna hit the tips of those with kind of a sky and the turquoise color. Getting glue all on my arm. Okay, now let's figure out if this is going to go here. We get a pencil real quick. Okay, so I found some I know I need to cut out. And I'm not going to cut them perfect. Because I don't want to lose those black lines that I put in too. This is an awful blade too, because I don't use it to cut. I use it to poke things a lot. Okay, and then we'll cut out a little bit of that. Now, I could have cut all of it out if I, fussy cut all of it. If you're real meticulous. I mean, I could have done that and I laid it down. It would have been blue or yellow. In fact, I can just do that on some of these. Okay. Two more for sure. Yeah, it needs to come out in places. This one needs to come out too. I think I'm just going to take these out all together and let it show whatever is in the background. Now, if you're OCD, I am not for you because I don't measure. I just kind of wing it. I think that gives it a whimsical look. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of them because you can tell it's cut or not cut. Like you can look at it and tell that, so it needs to all be cut. In this sense, and those of you who do know how to use an X-Acto blade, you don't have to send me a message telling me how to do it or how I could be better at it. It's just not my tool, and it never will be. Because I'm sure I'm doing it wrong. But for one thing, I'm pulling the blade towards me, which I'm assuming is a no-no. And I'm kind of I got rid of a couple pies that were too skinny. This is what I typically fussy cut with. It's Fiskars. One more. Well, I take that back. One more and the bottom, I guess, if we're gonna cut anyways. Okay. Let's put that away before somebody gets hurt. And let's flip it upside down. Put a liberal amount of glue on the back. Would have been, I should have cut that out. In all honesty, it would have been better. I'd cut these out too. Oh, I just realized something. I missed a little area on my building. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and put a little more color behind here. Just to help with that. And I think I'm gonna grab a little of the dark color and add some darker in there. And I'm gonna grab some black to mix in with that. And we're gonna get black to put in here. I just want to get a little more variety in the color in the front of these. Yeah, I'm still painting. That's not right. Sometimes I have a hard time thinking of the opposite with the reflections. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab a little of that turquoise to add in here. All right. All right, so I'm making this reflection a little darker on the bottom where I'm going to dry that just a little bit. All right, because I want to go a little darker with the wheel reflection. Right, and then I'm going to spray that just to blur it a little and blot some out. Okay. And I want to take the dark color again. And I just want to darken some of that along the bottom. Oh no, I don't want that there. I take that back. I want to go back to that gold color. And some of that rust. All right, and I'm gonna let some of that rust, I want some wet drips. And I want some of that Aussie gold really wet. All right, and then I think I'm going to take a credit card and swipe. Okay, I like that except for I want to go darker. Blot some of that out, and I'm going to do that again. I'll put some of that blue back in there. It's kind of a green color now. All right. I'm going to get that rust dripping. Okay. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm scraping some of the color. And getting lines. Okay, I'm going to grab some of that turquoise in some places. And I'm just adding some dark spots and some light spots. I'm going to go back in and get some of the brighter pigment. And see if I can't brighten up. All right. I need to stop because I'm getting like a pillage. All right, I think I'm done. Or I need to call it done. I need to get glue on this little bit right here. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that little bits are glued down. Here and there. And if I'm careful and quick, I can do that. Put that up. Let me put this way. And then we'll take the tape off. Dry it and sign it here just a little bit. Oh, I almost left my brush in the water. That would have been bad news. But Shauna, look, I used that brush the entire painting. I'm trying. I'm getting better. Like, should you get what are you getting a compressor? Some people use the compressor guns, the paint guns for the alcohol inks instead of a heat gun or a dryer. Thank you, Joycey. All right, I'm gonna turn the heat gun on. I did not take the sides of this. Thanks, Stacy. I think I could come in with some white here and there on the water in the parts that aren't dark to give a rippled effect to. It might have gotten too dark in here if I were doing it over. This might have been better before I started adding too much to it. So, and I don't know if I'll put it in a matte or not a matte. I think it's not going to fit in a matte very well, or I'll lose some of my favorite cards. That's the, it might need a, it might need a special matte cut. The other thing I could do is come in and add some paint, but it does need to be matted. It's just that matte's not going to fit. So I'm going to sign it. I sign in weird places. I don't sign in traditional places, so I'm debating. Depends if they mat, how they mat it. Under the wheel, that's what I was thinking on the curve here. That's not going to work. Yeah, but when you sell it, the people don't always see the recording. Oh, you know what we didn't put on it? Did I lose it? We didn't put our bus. People, I lost the bus. I had a double-decker bus. I bet you money I threw it away. Just a second. I found it. I actually had a building I didn't even use. I knew I had more than I needed, scale-wise. And I'm not sure I want to use this. We'll decide. If I use it, it should go in like this. It's awful big. Well, it can't go center because it's red and it's a Papa red. It has to. It would have to either go here, which blocks my bridge, or here. I think it's a save it for another later painting kind of thing. I like the idea. My original idea too was, and I didn't do it, was I had thought about popping some Frisket in there to do some people in black. Yeah, I'm not going to put the bust on because it's too big, which I knew when I drew it, it was really hard to draw things to scale. And the signature's hard to see, but it's in there. It shows up when you're like looking at it. up close. Those can be for another project on another day. I didn't. I didn't, Shauna. Now, what my instinct tells me is I should go in and put some darkened gray windows in some of the buildings here and there and let them blur. And like, there's a building behind here. And I throw that line in. Yeah, I like this. I wished I hadn't gone as dark in here. I wish I'd left a little bit more of the turquoise in here. The lighter. Oh, I did too much rust in here. So, does it need like a cup? Does this building right in here need some windows? Thank you, Eileen. I'm waiting because if I so I don't know what the windows look like, so I'm just gonna and then we'll get a damp brush. Just to kind of offset. Well, because there's one here and I'll bring a line down. Not everywhere, just maybe here and there. And then let the bleeding sort of. So I'm just sort of adding a little details. Janet. Just trying to keep it real faint. Just trying to put some here and there to balance. And then I don't want to get crazy down here. We'll spray that. Just let it. Blot. Ha, Elaine, not me. I think that's enough. Just here and there. I feel like this needs more, but I don't know what. And this probably needs more, like a doorway or something, but I think we'll just call it a day on that. I really wish I could lift out some of this rust. I'm going to try. We'll just let it soak for a minute. I think that's a little better. It's a little dark down here too. If I don't scrub and I just blot, I can lift off some of the color. Yeah, I know the river there is dirty. I lost too much of my turquoise. Is what I feel like I got. I think that'll be it. It'll just have to do. I could put some white back in there, but it wouldn't be light back here. It actually would be darker back here. And lighter up here in reality. Okay, y'all see something? If I turn it upside down, I'm sure you see a monkey or Janet or... I'm lifting some of the pigment in a couple areas. And I could take the yellow and put some of the yellow back in here. I'm grabbing is the azo yellow. I think that added a little bit more light. I told him I was going to try to work with light this year. He got a new bike. He can't tell me anything, Shauna. For many, 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 many months. It lightened it up. See where this is the lighter? It lightened it up. Because it needed to be darker back here and lighter back here. And the water was too dark. Yeah, Bob's here. He's watching TV. He'd be bike riding if it was warmer. You're going to bonk me on the head, Shauna? That'll be a long drive, Mama. Just saying. But I think it turned out fine. If I did it again, I would say to plan, it's hard to plan your buildings this small. Yeah, that's why when I saw the book that I wanted at Colleen's house, bam, ordered. No, I think it turned out. I'm glad I took some of the rust off here and added the brighter yellow. My goal this year, one of them, is to try to get a sense. It does look like London's on fire, though. Good. Just saying. That's what Dottie's going to tell me, that London's on fire. If she even recognizes London, she'll be like, it's a flame. It does look like it, right? But I just wanted to do something with pop. In the book, she left it white. See, she did her back layer really light and her front layer darker. And then she did the light layer first. She did what I did. She just did it better. But she left the rest of the paper white. And she used more like rusty peachy colors on the back layer, brighter in the water, duller on the land. And then she used brighter pinks on the front layer with more of the black in the water. So you can see her water is darker in the back. But I'm not sure I like as much dark in the front. Here's her finished thumbnail. So mine's just different. I mean, it's different. I don't think she actually glued hers. So mine's definitely different. So. Dottie is here. Well, it's awful late, Dottie. But this really doesn't have to be London. I know, but it's very late where Dottie is. So that's why I wasn't sure. Yeah. I could have distinguished the layers more. If my front layer was lighter. If but that paper was different. So that paper is completely not water paper. Yeah, I just didn't know if she. Ooh. I don't know if she's going to get the copper stick after me or Shauna. So. Tomorrow, I have a list for the alcohol inks. The Yupo comes tomorrow, hopefully before I stream. There's the book that I was working out of. And it's a good book. I have to say I am excited about the book that yeah, we're gonna play. I got stuff already stacked. I got vellum ready. Yupo on the way. Yeah, tomorrow's alcohol ink for me. So we'll see. As soon as Shauna's done, Elaine, Shauna starts at 1 o'clock. And then I usually start around 4 p.m. Eastern, give or take. You won't like watercoloring on the Yupo. It moves. It's very hard to water. Unless you're going to do something like this, like Patty does. It is hard to watercolor on Yupo. And this has got gel medium on it, but I bet I could still take a baby wipe and remove some of this. You're fine, Elaine. Yeah. Shauna is on 1 o'clock. Is it 1 o'clock Eastern? Or 1 o'clock our time? Shauna, help me out. It might be 2 o'clock Eastern for Shauna. Eastern time. I did a bird on a water faucet in watercolor on Yupo, 2 Eastern. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock my time. That's what I just know I have to be home if we run errands by 1 o'clock. Yeah. Well, if you're going to do Patty style watercolor, it's just perfectly fine. Just know that if you try to spray it or put a coat on it, that it can still be wiped back almost clean. Oh, okay, Catherine. Oh, cool, Janet. Yeah, I like the alcohol on the Yupo too, but you can do the same thing. I've gone and had old pieces of alcohol ink on the Yupo and used it and changed it and wiped it back off and, I'll show you. I've got a piece of Yupo up here. I don't know what's on there. It's watercolor, gel medium, whatever we were doing. You put your back into it. It will come right off. And that had gel medium on top of it. It was probably watercolor on the jelly plate. So, in fact, we can add alcohol inks to this tomorrow. Kind of like some of that scrubbed off. I said we can take some of that off, leave some on. And then we'll add alcohol ink to that tomorrow. That'll be fun. Here's a Barb class at a VIP class. Oh, well, that will not affect me. But we'll see you when you get done at Barb's, Dottie. I like that better already. I hadn't used it because I didn't really care for it. But we'll add something on top of it. I've heard that too, Janet. And I'm like, why didn't you just get that one to begin with instead of two? We do this with amps. Bob will get an amp, and this is the amp that he has to have. That's the perfect amp. He needs that sound. He doesn't like this. And then 6 months later, we're looking at amps. And for Bob, it's guitars, amps, bikes, guns. Sorry, those of you who are anti-gun. Me, it's just art supplies. But he never complains. Yep, boys and their toys. So. Well, this is Bob's Christmas, birthday. I told him that was it for don't even hint. And then it'll be my birthday and I'll be, I don't know what I want other than more watercolors. But I don't nearly spend what he spends. And mine makes money. Well, not really, Shauna. My hobby makes money. Let me clarify that. And I write off all of my stuff. This almost looks good with this. You got your own gas, Janet. Okay, guys. I am done. I'm probably going to go and see what Bob is up to. Watch some TV. Enjoy my last. I got 2 more sleep-ins. Saturday and Sunday. I thought. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.